The term backyard is used both figuratively and literally to mean something that you're super familiar with. Something close. But when you're just 3 months old, your backyard is actually something new to be explored. So let's look at our backyard in a whole new light. You can go on a safari in Zayla's literal backyard to see just how much there is to be discovered in our own backyard.
Welcome to our backyard safari with me and Zayla.
You know, a Midwestern backyard probably isn't the first thing you think about when you think of a safari, but over the past 2 months of my paternity leave, Zayla and I have been filming like crazy and looking like lunatics in our backyard, filming everything we can. Sure, at 2 months old, she's probably not going to appreciate this video too much right now, but when she gets older, she'll feel the proper level of dad embarrassment.
Zayla's backyard is located in Cincinnati, Ohio, and being in a city, her home is on a modest 8,200 square foot lot of land. But over the course of 2 months, we've seen dozens of animals live their lives in this urban jungle. It turns out, our backyard belongs to more than just us. These 10 black walnut trees provide for some great summer shade, and at over 60 feet tall, their enormous canopies create a perfect playground for our most rascally animal, the eastern gray squirrel.
All right, I know, a gray squirrel isn't that exotic, but this girl's only had a few weeks on this planet, and if you hang around, I swear, we're gonna find some really cool stuff that you'll find really exciting.
This fact might blow your mind. There's estimated to be over 2 billion eastern gray squirrels in the United States alone, and roughly 10% of their population resides in our own backyard, or at least it feels that way.
As opposed to Zayla, who just eats one type of food, the gray squirrels back here actually have 3 sources of food, which explains their abundance in this backyard.
These playful squirrels, which spend much of their day playing with each other, enjoy plentiful food in our area from several primary sources. We'll start with our bird feeder. You can see we thought we were clever by getting a squirrel-resistant feeder, which automatically closes when a squirrel tries to eat from it. But it really just delays the inevitable. These birds aren't exactly the cleanest eaters, and after some patience and some sloppy bird eating, they get their seeds without breaking a sweat. And if seeds aren't on the menu, these squirrels go to the trees, specifically this mulberry tree, which is currently full of berries. But these are picky squirrels, and they want only the freshest, reddest berries, not those bitter green ones. So these squirrels use their incredible agility to ascend up the roughly 40-foot tall mulberry tree and distort in every which way to ensure that they get the absolute best berries. And when these squirrels get full, they'll bury their extra food in case of a need for a midnight snack. These holes around our garden might seem to be random, but squirrels have been using their incredible sense of smell and amazing spatial memory to find their winter stashes of food. They do kind of a bad job cleaning up. Each squirrel is estimated to make thousands of these food caches each season, and even will make additional holes beyond that to try and trick other animals if they think they are being watched. And with dozens of squirrels here, well, our front yard is just gonna have to double as a squirrel cupboard. Oh well. Before we move on, I want to talk a little bit about this mulberry tree, because it's kind of an important part of our backyard ecosystem. It is the tree that is the closest to our house, so Zayla gets a ton of chances to do her animal research while looking up at it. And those red berries, well, they have quite a lot of fans, not just the gray squirrel. Now, when Zayla looks up at the mulberry tree, she sees the beginning of a food chain that supports multiple animals. This invasive tree species that originated in China has adapted quite well to the American Midwest, and it's up in its canopy that Zayla notices her next animal. Zayla here is always looking up. When she looks up, she's going to see a lot of birds foraging for the fruits and nuts in this tree. The bird she'll spot most often up there is the American robin. This migratory bird is as American as the backyard itself. So much so that it's the state bird of 3 states. Here in the tree, this well-fed robin puffs itself up on this hot day to allow air to circulate a bit, cool off, and freshen up a bit. Just like the gray squirrels, they are also very choosy with their mulberries, almost exclusively eating the red berries from the tree. But their messy eating habit means that there's plenty of mulberries that end up falling to the floor, which means that not every robin has to head to the trees for a meal. This juvenile robin, which might only be a few weeks old and only just recently left its nest, which is built on top of a drainage pipe a few dozen feet away, can easily be spotted by its speckled chest. This teen bird is keeping an eye out for fallen berries. And who would ever turn down a perfectly good berry, even if it has just been on the ground for a little while? Though another, smaller creature is waiting patiently for their turn. Looks like you found something, Zayla. Ah, is that a chipmunk that you see? It is, and it might be the cutest animal in our backyard. Well, next to Zayla, obviously. Our backyard has a dozen of these cute little chipmunks, aka ground squirrels, that play as much with each other as they do as spending time finding food. We often notice that they will search pretty much the entire yard constantly for any morsels of food that they can find. But it does require a clean nose to make sure you can find the good stuff. And just like those robins and gray squirrels, this little guy wants those red berries. I say little guy, but it's really hard to actually determine the difference between a male and a female chipmunk to the naked eye. Whoa, sorry dude. Did not mean to offend. It's not personal. You can go back to your mulberry foraging. We know you were looking for a nice red berry before those pesky robins come and take it from you first. Maybe if you get a little closer to the mulberry tree? There you go. With its super high sugary fruit flavor, it doesn't matter that it's half an eaten berry. And when the squirrel finds a good berry, it just keeps eating them. And eating them. I'll linger a little longer since chipmunks eating are the best. And eating them. They are able to do so by basically shoving as much food into their cheek pouches as possible and bring everything else they can back to their den. Not so they can go into hibernation, but for a state called torpor, which is kind of like a light hibernation, which sounds like something Zayla would totally be into.
And to do so, they create really elaborate tunnels underground.
These tunnels can reach up to 30 feet long and be 3 feet deep and include areas for drainage, food hoards, bathrooms, and a nest. And each chipmunk has his own home, so no roommates for them. Which is to say, these chipmunks are cute and have a lot more depth than you might think, both figuratively and literally. Oh, come on, Zayla. You're about to get a lifetime of this, so you better get used to it. Okay. All right, I'm moving on. There is one more way this mulberry tree creates life that I want to point out. Let's go back to that juvenile robin, who does end up flying up the tree. They're looking to give this mulberry picking thing a shot, though it's still a kid, and is still working on that berry picking form. Hang in there, Robin. You'll get it eventually. I mean, at only a few weeks old, you're flying, which is a lot more than Zayla can say. Zayla, I'm teasing. But like Zayla, this robin is good at one thing. Pooping. And just like there were animals looking for leftover berries, even poop has its fans. Even these little insects are an important part of this backyard ecosystem. But let's focus on another bug with a little bit more buzz than a fly. Like bees! This time of year, when the flowers are out and the weather is warm, is the perfect time to see these critters out and around flying in our yard's many kind of flowers.
Looks like the flowers might have gotten her a little tired, but while we've been back here, we've been spotting quite a bit of bees amongst these flowers.
These honeybees really enjoy our lavender flowers, which are quite common around the Cincinnati area. These bees will get the ingredients for their food in one of two different ways. The first is to collect nectar from flower using their proboscis, which is a straw-like tongue to extract the nectar and store it in their honey stomach, which they then regurgitate in the hive to make honey. Kind of gross that we eat it when I say it like that. The second is via pollen collection, which is basically collected by walking across various flowers and having the pollen accumulate on the structure on their legs called pollen baskets. They then fly this pollen back to their hive to make bee bread, which is made from a combination of honey and their enzymes. Yum. Since our backyard is on a slant, we kind of let it grow wild, and that's helped attract some of the wildlife you see here today. In this summer, it's been a perfect storm of weather to make sure that we get enough rain to support these plants, which helps attract all the wildlife we see. So far in Cincinnati, we've had 6 inches of rain over our average, which has helped keep the backyard green. And with a covered porch, Zayla and I are often outside watching the rain come down in our backyard hills. This hilly slice of wildlife supports wildflowers, like the ditch lily, which is a hardy flower that requires almost no care, or the Seabold plantain lily, which not only attract honeybees, but the honeybee's cousin, the bumblebee. These bees act much the way the honeybees do, and are an immensely important species to have in our yard, as they help pollinate all these flowers and keep the yard looking bright. Bees sometimes get a bad rap, but generally, if you don't bother them, they won't bother you, and are excellent here in Cincinnati since they can fly in cooler temperatures than other kinds of bees, so can help pollinate plants during many seasons others can't. But sometimes, you gotta get down low to their level to be able to see the really cool stuff. At Zayla's age, she can't see very far, but what exists just below her nose is kind of remarkable and complex. Let's follow the journey of this one small ant. Even amongst ants, they are generally lost in the shuffle of the larger colony, each with a role to play to make this larger ant society function. This ant can be part of a colony that ranges in size from 10 to 50,000 or more. But today, let's focus on just one, as it moves off the grass onto the sidewalk bricks at an incredibly fast pace and heads up to 300 feet from their nest, so their range is beyond our backyard. But when they do leave, they generally leave with some type of mission or purpose. We don't really know what this ant's purpose is until we follow it to its end goal. These ants have claws and adhesive pads on their 6 feet that allow them to grip surfaces to climb. So even as they traverse over hot, cold, rock, or dirt surfaces, it can walk through them in ease. And as it gets to the dirt, it starts to slow down. And the mission for what this ant was on appears to come into focus. He makes contact with another ant using antennal contact to ensure that this is a friend, possibly exchanging scent information and sharing other information in the form of body language. What he hears isn't good. These two are here for a rescue mission. It appears that this ant's role is that of an undertaker, and his friend leaves it to take care of the largest deceased ant himself. These ants, a lot like Zayla, are tiny and mighty, and his friend departs, leaving this little one to fend and take care of the larger deceased ant all by himself. This ant's role is to take back the dead ant, likely responding to a released pheromone alerting others of danger or injury. Its role is to take it back to a designated area for a sort of burial. It can lift up to 7 times its weight, so it likely should have no problem moving this ant. This behavior is strange, and it might sound a little bit made up, but it's a behavior called necrophoresis, which is a crucial behavior to maintain the health and cleanliness of the colony. Once complete, and moving quite a bit slower after a long and emotionally tolling day of dealing with the dead, the ant heads home and back to its colony, taking its one story back to its 50,000 brothers and sisters. Well, Zayla, who would have thought that an ant story would have been so heavy? But I guess it just goes to show you that being little isn't so easy. These ants do have to be careful though, as there is danger in this home from an invasive species, that likely views it as a quick meal. Cincinnati is home to a species of lizard that you can't find even 50 miles from here. I'd say it's unique to the area, but it's really only here by chance.
The lizards here are one of my favorite creatures, and how they got to Cincinnati is a crazy story.
So let's get close, like really close, and find out a bit about how these creatures ended up here in our backyard to begin with. To do that, let's go back and tell a story of Macy's, Italy, and more. And begin with this man, Fred Lazarus, which created the Lazarus department stores in the company known as the Federated Department Stores, which you might know better as Macy's. Well, one summer in 1951, Fred decided to take his family from Cincinnati, Ohio to Milan, Italy for a family getaway. It is there where his stepson George smuggled about 10 of the lizards back on the plane in his socks before the age of TSA and customs like we know it, and set them loose in his backyard in Cincinnati, where they thrive today. And the reason they thrive in Cincinnati in particular is kind of interesting. Like Milan, Cincinnati has a similar climate. And the architecture is actually perfect for little nooks and crannies that the lizards like to hide in. Sometimes they are hard to spot because they run to those areas the second they are spotted. Oh yeah, there's one, Zayla. It's on the wall. It looks like it's trying to hide in one of those cracks. They can most easily be seen in the sun as they warm up their cold-blooded bodies by soaking in the rays. And if they get caught, they'll even shed their tail before growing a new one, like this little guy here is in the process of. And with it being summer, we're just starting to see signs of new baby lizards. So these Italian lizards are making this backyard their own. But as the sun goes down and the lizards hide for the night, our backyard transforms into Twilight as lightning bugs take their turn to put on a show. You're not tired yet, Zayla, are you? We'll worry about your sleep schedule later. Although lightning bugs are around all day, they mostly spend the day eating pollen and nectar. They love these humid summers in Cincinnati, and come twilight, they really let their colors fly. They create this cool light show to talk to other fireflies during their short 1 to 3 week adult lifespan. They get away with flashing at night even though they're very recognizable by predators, because when eaten, animals know that they release their toxic blood. I mean, they literally glow, so I'm not surprised. Their numbers are decreasing, however, so hopefully they enjoy places like this backyard so Zayla can enjoy them for years to come. And when the fireflies come out, night is just around the corner. And come nighttime in this yard, when the only thing lighting the backyard is moonlight and gas-powered streetlights, and Zayla is getting closer to sleep. Right, Zayla? Some truly unique things start to happen here. All right, I want to prepare you. What you are about to see is the first time in history that what you are about to see has been captured on video in this backyard by me and Zayla. Dramatics aside, when we saw a fawn in our backyard at night, we thought it was pretty cool. Though what we did not know was that this is a fawn that would end up spending a lot more time here than we realized. All night the baby fawn remained outside, and as the sun began to rise, we went outside to go check in on the deer. And when we saw the little fawn was still there in the same spot on the side of the hill waiting patiently for its mother, we wondered if she would come. Behind us in this very yard is a baby deer. Now, you might be concerned that there's a baby deer here for a better part of 12 hours, but that's actually pretty common. Pretty much from dusk until dawn, mommy deer will leave their baby deers or fawns right behind here just to hang out in a place that they consider safe. So it seems pretty lucky that we have a place that's safe enough for her to sleep in and safe enough for a deer to be in all day before her mom comes back at night. You see, adult deer will often leave their offspring in an area they deem safe while they go off and forage for food. This way, they have to worry less about a predator going after a fawn in an unknown place. So we'll take the deer's presence as a compliment to our safety and wilderness of our backyard and wait patiently along with the deer, which will occasionally lift its head up to look around or eat very close to the very nest it's been in all day, looking and waiting for its mother, which we hope is out exploring the city of Cincinnati safely despite the urban environment. Even through a rainstorm, which we thought might either scare it or bring its mom back, the deer remained calm and waited. Zayla and I just spent the day outside waiting alongside this deer while keeping our distance and observing, wondering when and if its mother would return. Then, around dusk, the deer started to stir quite a bit. In fact, it went straight up wild, running back and forth in our lawn over and over and over again until we see its mom finally return and lead it over the fence. Or maybe it's better they go around.
Well, my neighbors likely think I'm insane now. Our whole family has a newfound respect for what we can discover right here in this backyard. A new sense of wonder every time we wake up in the morning and just peer at the tree. We know that we are just a tiny dot on the planet, even a tiny dot right here in Cincinnati. But if there's this much to explore right here on this tiny dot, imagine the amazing things that this little girl will see in her lifetime. She has so much to look forward to, and right now, we're just enjoying this backyard, because that's not going to last forever. For now, though, we'll keep exploring all there is to explore back here, going on our own backyard safari.
Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the adventure and it inspires you to take some of your own. If you want more, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and check out some more from my channel. Thanks.